What's going on, people? I want to share something with y'all because the NFL Network finally covered the fucking Lions today. And fortunately, I was able to catch this because there was no Olympics on today, so I was able to catch this shit. I had it on NFL Network this morning, and they had this to say about the Lions, which was interesting, man. They actually went over the schedule, and that was something that I was looking forward to. So I'm going to let y'all listen to that. And then when we come back on the flip side, I'm going to give my reaction to what they predicted our schedule was going to be. You know, so this is going to be kind of interesting, man, because I don't think you're going to be surprised at what they said. You know how the national media is with the fucking Lions. They barely wanted to cover the fucking Lions. So you shouldn't be surprised at what they say. All right? So here you go.
Inside Training Camp Live on the field, presented by Mitsubishi Motors. Taking a look at Matthew Stafford and the Lions there in Allen Park, Michigan. Day 7 of Lions training camp today. Been dealing with a little bit of weather out there as our Mike Garafolo joins us live from Lions camp there in Michigan. And Mike, obviously Matthew Stafford, a wily veteran, and has had the luxury of Calvin Johnson out there on the perimeter for the duration of his career in Detroit. That changes this year with Megatron's retirement. What's the plan here? Obviously, they bring in Marvin Jones, but how do you for Matthew Stafford, what's he really thinking about how they move forward offensively without Megatron?
Yeah, they bring in Marvin Jones, like you said, but Anquan Boldin, that was a big addition for them. You don't usually talk about signings this late into the summer and say, oh, that was a big addition. But it was, because they knew they needed to rely on somebody to have some consistent production. They believe Anquan Boldin is that guy. And he's not a game breaker. He never was, frankly. Before the draft, some of his numbers before the draft, that's why people thought, well, maybe he's just a possession receiver. You know, he's not that big body, big game-breaking talent, but he's a guy that they know that they can rely on. So that, for them, was enormous. It's going to be different. Their offense is not going to flow through what they're doing with one person like it did for for a decade with Calvin Johnson. It's going to be more spread out. They're going to have to throw the ball, spread it around more often. And like I mentioned to you a little while ago, Eric Ebron, the tight end, is going to be an enormous factor. They need him, like he doubled his production last year, to almost do it again if they're going to have a big threat in the red zone and up the middle of the field.
Mike Bob Quinn comes over and takes over as general manager, and it seems pretty clear the philosophy he wants to instill there in Detroit if you look at their first couple of draft picks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The first 3 picks were offensive and defensive line, and he really thought that both of those lines were the weak point of the roster from what I'm told, and he wanted to retool them almost immediately, and the offensive line even more so. And so they took Riley Reif, their left tackle, moved him over to right tackle. From what I gather, has had a solid camp there so far, and they want to see if they can have Taylor Decker, their rookie, be their left tackle. If he can earn that job, because they haven't quite given it to him yet, even though he's taking all of the reps there. If he can earn that job and allow Reif to stay on the right side, they think their offensive line is going to be a whole lot better, and then get Laken Tomlinson, their pick from last year, to progress even more. They think that all of a sudden this line could really make a jump forward this year.
Yeah, throw Larry Warford in the mix there, now a few years into the league as well, and looking for some serious improvement along that Detroit offensive line. Mike Garafolo live with us there in Allen Park. Mike, thanks very much. Now time to take a look at the Lions 2016 season predictions, presented by Taco Bell with our pals, Heath Evans and Elliot Harrison.
Okay, Lions fans, are you excited? I'm somewhat excited.
I'm excited about what you're going to do with week 1.
Whew,
What are you saying there?
This was everyone's hot team last year going in. It didn't work out that way. People are kind of more excited about the Colts even. I am not quite sold.
Me either.
That being said, Jim Bob Cooter, the offensive coordinator, I'm not sold on what he's selling either. So I'm going to give that
on the road.
an L.
Okay.
There we go. Tennessee, I'm going to give them a W at Green Bay. That's a loss.
Tennessee lose every game.
No, that's not true. But listen,
it's true.
Don't buy the Tennessee hype train just yet.
At the
people,
Bears.
I'm telling you. At the Bears on the road. I'm going to give them a W. All righty? Division win on the road. They're sitting at 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
All right, quarter number 2. What do we got?
Well, last year you watched the Eagles-Lions at Detroit, and it was awful. Philadelphia just got destroyed. I think Philadelphia is going to be a little bit better, but I still like Detroit at home. Give them a win.
Okay, so the dub for the Lions there, 3-2. The Rams, the LA Rams.
Yeah, Rams at home. I like this as a dub as well for the Lions.
Wow.
Okay, now Washington.
Disrespecting that Rams defense. Okay.
Interesting spot of the schedule here. 3 straight home games for the Lions. I do think they lose one of these. This is the one I'm going to say they lose. I hope the Redskins get their rushing game together because that's how they're going to win that game. At Houston, I got as a loss.
Okay, so we are
4-4.
at 500 going into crunch part of the season. Vikings,
I think that's okay.
At the Vikings. Go ahead and throw me an L up there. Yep. I think that'll be that was an improved team last year. This year they'll be even better. Bye week.
Good time for a bye.
It's a great time. This is a team I like. Like the quarterback. Like the young guns.
It's a home game.
I know. The defense, everyone thinks it'll be vastly improved. We'll see. I'm still going to give them an L there.
The Lions losing at home to the Jags.
Off a bye. Is that not like the Lions?
Absolutely. It's
okay,
like the Lions.
We go.
I just don't know if it's like Gus Bradley's team, but we'll find out this year.
Well,
we
shall see. We shall see. Minnesota, this team I was high on last year, that's another L.
Okay.
And then at the Saints, you pick, because I don't want the homer tag on Twitter. So, Elliot, that one's all yours. Week 13, what's it going to be?
This is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
I think this is an even game, but I'm going to give New Orleans the home field, although New Orleans not as strong at home as they used to be.
It's been a bit disappointing.
All right, so we went from 4-4. Man, we went from 4-2.
6 straight losses.
6 straight losses.
It's not far.
All right, I've got to give them a win. It's a division game.
Okay.
It's in front of their home folk, and I'm not a big believer in the Bears this year either, Heath, so they get a win there. At the Giants, I'm not huge on the Giants either, but I'm giving them a loss there. I don't like them at Dallas, and I don't like them at Green Bay. Boom, 5-11. I could see this being an upset because it's like the Lions to do that. Either one of these games, I think they could win. Either Houston or Dallas, because it's like the Lions to wow us and then fall flat.
Hey, the good thing is this is on paper what we see. Lions, go prove us wrong. 5-11, prove us wrong.
Big step back from the Lions, according to Heath and Elliott there. Tony Romo looking to take a big step forward as we await Cowboys walk.
Man, nobody give a fuck about no goddamn Cowgirls. Y'all cover that team. Man, y'all be sucking that team balls, man. Shit. Y'all don't even need y'all local station to cover that shit, man. The fucking NFL Network gonna cover the Cowboys like a wet blanket. There's not a day that goes by where they ain't covering that sorry-ass fucking football team. God damn. Fuck. But yeah, anyways, man. I know y'all got y'all thoughts, man. And it's gonna be interesting to see what y'all say, man. For those of y'all One Pride Riders that make videos, I hope y'all, if y'all see this video, I hope y'all got a reaction video to that shit. Because I know y'all got a lot to say about that, because there's not too many of us that actually predicted the schedule to go the way NFL Network said it'll go. That's just a lot of disrespect what they did right there. That's them not really believing in our team. But I will say this: I was a little bit surprised with how they had us start. I thought the record would have been a lot worse than that. I thought they would have had us going 3-13. To be honest, they gave us 2 extra wins, but I didn't think they was going to give us 2 extra wins. So, but as you see the schedule again, you see how important it is how important those first 7 the first 7 games are. You see how important those first 7 games are. Those are our playoffs this year, okay? Those are our playoffs. Real talk. That's our playoffs this year. You know what I'm saying? We have to get off to a really good fucking start this year in the first 7 games. I'm putting the break right at Houston. It's not the official second half break, but it's my second half break. Because when we get to that game, that's when I really think the second half of the season really starts. Now, we got the bye week a little later this year, and it officially starts, I think, either when we face the Vikings or when we face the Jaguars, one of those two. But to me, it starts right at the Texans. It's going to be a longer second half road this year for us, okay? This is when we start facing potential playoff teams and shit like that. So that's why I said the first 7 games, the Lions got to take care of business. Any worse than like 3-4 starting out the season, 3-4 or worse, that is absolutely unacceptable. Jim Caldwell need to get fired, and the season's over. I don't think you're going to see the Lions go 6-2 like they did in the second half last year. They got out to that kind of start again. Okay, this Lions team needs to take care of business in the first half of the season. All right, those first 7 games. You got 4 home games in there and a 3-game home stand. Okay? There's only realistically like 3 games in there in the first 7 that you might lose or, you might be facing some playoff teams. That's the Colts game, Packers game, and the Redskins game in the last one for the first half of the season. Okay? And a lot of that depends on the way the Colts and Redskins are looking this season. I think we know how the Packers are going to look. But I got some uncertainties with the Colts because of their defense. And I just want to see if Washington's for real. Are they legitimately still the best team in the NFC East? Is Kirk Cousins still a legit quarterback? That's why that's such a either way game. But the rest of the games, man, you better take care of business. Some of them are kind of tough. The Bears game will be tough, but we'll still win it because it's never easy going out the Soldier. And no matter, we had some pretty good Lion teams go out there and the games were still close. So I expect that one to be close unless we just dominate their ass. But I highly doubt that happens. Bears do got a better defense to see. I don't think it's gonna happen. The Rams game, that's another one. I think there's 3 reasons why we'll beat the Rams this year. The game is at home. They got a rookie quarterback. Their defense ain't that. It's actually 4 reasons. Their defense ain't as good as I think it was last year. There's no way you're losing Laurinaitis, Chris Long, and they lost another dude that was key on that defense. I forgot who it was. It was a key third member of that defense though, and they lost him. And I said, "There's no way this team is better than it was last year. No way." And then I just think the Lions are ready for this team this year. They was on the road. They took a really tough road loss last year. I think they're going to come at the Todd Gurley ass, and because I know the Rams going to really run the football in that game because Jared Goff probably, I don't know if he's going to be ready to throw the football like that. We should be favored in that game, but I believe it's a potential trap game, but I believe we'll win that one. All right. Now, Tennessee, they could give us some troubles because the way Mariota, like the way he play makes back there, he's gonna extend a lot of plays with his mobility. They got DeMarco Murray. The defense is sort of solid, but I just don't think they're ready to win. But don't be surprised if that game is closer than what you think. If it's not a blowout, I'm expecting a blowout, but don't be surprised if it's close though. But those 4 games, absolutely. I'm gonna go over them again. The Titans game, the Bears game, the Eagles game. And I don't know where this is coming from that the Eagles going to be a better team this year. I don't know where the fuck that get. That's one of the worst teams in the league. They're going to be down there with San Francisco. Okay? They is not a good team. I don't know where the fuck that confidence is coming from. They're talking about I remember one day they was talking about the Eagles. I was like, man, the Eagles going to be a better team. What the fuck you smoking? No, they ain't. No, they ain't. That's the worst team. Actually, I think they're worse than the Titans. They probably the worst team we faced. And the way we blanked them last year, they still got a lot of that team left over. They got unproven quarterback. They got a new coach. Nah, that game probably easier than the Titans game. I'm being real with you. There ain't no way we lose to the fucking Sheagles. We gonna have ourselves a little funny fest to eat that pussy. Watching his reaction to his Eagles getting spanked by the Lions again like Thanksgiving last year. That shit was funny as hell last year. And then I just went over the Rams and the Rams game. Colts, Packers, Redskins. Those are the three where they could go either way. In my opinion, I think we're winning one of the first two of those road games against the Packers and Colts. I don't believe we'll lose both of them. The Packers game, I think the Lions might have a little bit of confidence going to Green Bay now after beating them last year. Might even start a new streak up there because I think I see it there in my schedule video earlier in April. I've already done this video in April. That's why I'm not going to go into too much detail about it like I did then. If you want to go back to see that video on my channel, you can. My thoughts are a little bit different now than it was back then on some things. So you might hear some different opinions from that video to this one because things have changed since then. I also did that video before our draft. So I got a lot more confidence in this team after the draft as well. So things might have changed. But I think they got some confidence going to Green Bay now, man. It's a division game. I think we splitting against all of our, well, except the Bears. We'll speak the Bears again, but I think we splitting all of our division opponents. We splitting Minnesota and Green Bay. We splitting those games. So either way, I think it's gonna go like last year. I think both teams gonna go on each other's home turfs and win like that. I think it's gonna happen again. It depends on, like, I'm gonna get back to that last Packers game of the season. I'm gonna get back to that one in a second. But we're gonna win one of those two, man. We either I think those gonna be upsets. I think we either gonna upset the Colts or we're gonna upset the Packers. And that should get us out to a 3-1 start going into our homestand because we beating the Bears. And they had us going 4-2. 4-3. I think we'll be either 4-3 or 5-2. I believe we'll be one of those two. If we're 6-1 or 7-0, hey, I'll take that too. I mean, to go 7-0 or 6-1 is gonna be absolutely terrific. But I think we need to be 5-2 or better because that stretch that we got in the second half, we're gonna be losing some games. So we gotta tighten that part up. Now, let's get into the second half. Now, I was already saying the next two games, I'm going to agree with these guys because, and this was before they put the L's up. I said, we're going to lose against the Texans. I'm going to be down there for that game. Like, one of the divisions I know better, like outside of AFC West, because I'm a Raiders and Texas fan, outside of the Lions, I always pay attention to the AFC South. Don't nobody got to tell me about the AFC South and what the AFC South teams do. I'm glued to what those teams are doing. I'll be watching the obscure Jaguars games. I'll be downloading them. Jaguars, the obscure Titans games, the Texans, the Colts sometimes. I don't really like watching the Colts, but you know, I'll watch their games sometimes, see where the Texans fall in that division. But I've seen these teams, man. I know what they're capable of doing this year. Nobody got to tell me what they're capable of doing. With the Texans, it's Brock or bust for them. It's Brock or bust. You know, this defense is probably good enough to get them to another playoff year, but it's Brock or bust, man. If Brock Osweiler looking good, now they coming off a game where they're going to Denver. That's their game of the year this year. They got to go to Denver. Brock Osweiler going back to Denver on Monday Night Football the week before. That could either work in our disadvantage or our advantage. You know what I'm saying? But I want to see how Brock Osweiler looks this year before. Because that's a potential win. You know, I agree with the one dude about this. The Lions do shit like that. Like he had the Cowboys and Texans being one of the upset games that we get. I believe they could go into Houston and win. But he left this one out. I believe they could go to Minnesota and win. And I'm going to tell you what. I got it marked off as a loss too. But I'm not totally ruling it out as a Lions W. I'm going to tell you what. That home, I think it's gonna take the Vikings a while to develop a new identity in that stadium. It's not gonna be as easy as it was in the Metrodome or the Met. Not even at TCF. It took this line like the Vikings another season to get used to playing outdoors again, man, at home. You know, I remember when we came in there and rocked them the first time we played them outdoors at TCF Bank. You know what I'm saying? We went in there. Won that first one. We blanked their ass. You know what I'm saying? Defense was killing their ass. So, it's a possibility either one of them games, like, we could come in there and win. I believe the Vikings going to probably struggle at home this year. They might struggle at home this year. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we can catch them off guard and win that game. You know what I'm saying? It's possible for the Lions to split them games. But you know what them two games remind me of, y'all? It remind me of the 2014 season when we had Arizona and New England back-to-back. And we lost both of them motherfuckers. Those games was like in the second half of the season. And the Lions, fortunately, didn't get lost after those two losses. They still was able to pick it back up. They went on. They won all of the next 3 home games. Actually, the next 4 games, all the way down to that Packers game. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't trip over too badly. We got a bad week, so after that, and then there's a game that I told y'all to really mark on y'all calendar this year, and I really believe that this is probably the game of the season. Just like I'm telling you, man, the Lions have had those games against these AFC opponents like in the middle of the season. It started in 2013 with the Bengals. Then the following year, the game I went to against the Dolphins. Last year, it was the Raiders. This year, it's going to be the Jaguars. It's always a tough-ass AFC team coming into our house. And that's going to be that game, that Jaguars game, dog. That Jaguars game, depending on how Blake Bortles and the crew look, if they having a good season, that is going to be a tough-ass fucking game right there. Mark that as the game of the year right there, because I believe that's going to be a thriller. It's going to go down to the waning seconds. Because Blake Bortles could play, man. He got some fucking receivers, man. Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson, dog. Man. And he got them tight ends, man. I think Mercedes Lewis still on the team. I know he got, what's that boy name that came from Denver? What's that nigga name? Damn, I forgot. Forgot that fast, man. Shit, I know y'all know who I'm talking about, man. He played for Denver the season before, man. Let me look him up real quick. Fuck, man. I be hating when that shit happens, man. I hate it when that shit happens. And then I can see if Mercedes Lewis is still on the team while I'm checking this. Let me see real quick. Let me see who they got. Julius Thomas, and they still got Mercedes Lewis. So he got them guys. Don't forget they got Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon. I believe the key for the Lions would be to stop that running game early. Get the Jaguars out of running the football. Because that's going to be a real key in that game, man. Whoever can stop each other running games. So it's going to come down to the trenches in that game, I believe. Because both teams have explosive offenses. So it could be a defensive showdown too, because that's actually how that Miami game was. It was a defense. It could have been an offensive show, but it turned into a defensive showdown. You know what I'm saying? So that game going to be good. That's going to be a real good one. That to me can determine if the Lions make the playoffs or not. Because if they were to lose those 2 games against the Texans and Vikings, and then they lost a third against the Jaguars, now you're going into a must-win game against the Vikings on Thanksgiving Day. And now you're asking for the Lions to sweep the Vikings. Because if they lose that game, it won't technically be a sweep. But you ask them to split them. But them guys, they said we'll lose against the Vikings on Thanksgiving Day. Now, that dude remember how we beat the Eagles up on Thanksgiving, but did he not remember that Stafford usually has his best passing game of the season on Thanksgiving Day? I think he's going to carve them boys up. I think he's going to carve that Minnesota defense up. I think eventually the Lions are going to crack that Minnesota defense cold. I think eventually they're going to crack that code, man. Especially if this offensive line plays better. Because if y'all remember in the game last year, and I'm going to try to see how I can find that game and download it. I want to rewatch that Vikings game from last year, the one where they came in here. Because when Stafford had time in that game, which wasn't much, because he was on his ass most of the game, that offensive line couldn't block for shit in that game. That was the worst game of the season when it came to the offensive line. But when Stafford had time in that game, he was getting that ball deep. And I believe that if you could get some time, because to me, Minnesota secondary is part of the weakest part of their team. I think the front seven is where their money is made, and the secondary could be had. You know, I'm not a believer in Harrison Smith. I'm glad Hitman made that video on fucking Harrison fucking Smith. And you know, I think they got Sendejo back there. I'm like, they corners are weak. To be honest with you, man. So what was that, Captain Mutterland or whatever? They fucking corners are weak as fuck, man. I think we can get those fucking corners off. It depends on the way we looking at that point before coming into that game of the season. Offensively, we might be able to get there. Let me move on here because I ain't want this video to be too long. Then the Saints. Now this is a tricky game. They had it marked down as an L. I think in my scheduled prediction video, I think I had it marked down as a win, because of the momentum we got against the Saints right now. That's why I was saying about the Packers going to Lambeau, because you see what happened once we got that win against the Saints. The Saints used to always kick our ass since Drew Brees been there. They've been kicking our ass. We finally got over that monkey. If we was able to come in there last year. Now I know the Saints, they got the best defense in the world. It didn't get that much better this year. But I believe Drew Brees and the boys gonna be back this year though. I believe they're gonna be back this year. So that's going to be a different game. I think they're going to be more like the Saints that we saw in 2014 than the Saints we saw last year. But I think the Lions shook that monkey off, and I think they could win the third one in a row. I think they could go down there and win the third one in a row. It ain't as hard as it used to be to go down to New Orleans and win. Like, for a period there, it used to be hard as fuck. I mean, I saw all kinds of teams over the last couple of seasons go down to New Orleans and win, especially last season. But like I said, that was a different season for the New Orleans. I think it'll be better this year. But I think we can make a game of it. I think we'll win. That's an either way game, though, to be honest with you. It's an either way game. So them marking that down, I don't really disagree with that. But I think they should have had more confidence. They should have had more confidence in the Lions against the Jags, Vikings, and Saints games. They marked all three of those as an L. They ain't even bothered to budge on any of those three. So I kind of didn't like that. I thought y'all could at least had us going 1-2 or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Next game, Bears don't need to go into that one. That'll be a win. It'll be a tough win. I believe like last year, that was a tough ass win at home, but we'll win. We'll win now. But it'll be tough. So that'll be a sweep of the Bears. Now, where's our record at? Where's my record at where I had them? Because I had them losing those two. So I think I had them at like 5-2. I had them at 5-2, 5-3. You know, I didn't decide on the Jaguars game. I got to skip that one for now. Because I remember in my schedule video, I could not pick a winner for that fucking game for some reason. They'll beat the Vikings, so that'll be 6-4. I believe they'll beat the Saints, so that'll be 7-4. They'll beat the Bears, so they'll be 8-4. Now the Giants, that's a tough one. That's sort of like the Redskins game where it's like you got to see. I think that all the NFC East teams, maybe except for the Sheagles, we got to see where they're at before we could judge, because I cannot get a good read on any of the NFC East teams right now. Now, on paper, the Giants look like they improved, but will they actually be better? We'll see. We'll see. You know. And what's interesting about our schedule this year is really all moderate temperature games. It's all controlled temperature games because you got Minnesota moving back indoors now. The Giants game is the only fucking element game of the season that we'll have. The only one. It's the only one where we're going to be playing in cold weather. The only one. It worked out for us, man. It's the only one in the second half. we got nothing but indoor games this year, man. So that's why I said the Lions offense should be just killing this year. It'll be on a lot of field turf this year. They'll be killing, man. I think they'll be killing this year, dog. I think that they'll be fast. Now, this game here is a typical Lions loss late in the year in the elements. If the Giants, I'm gonna tell you right now, if the Giants are a playoff team by this point, we will not be winning that game. I'm marking that as a hard loss if they are. If they suck like they've been sucking the last few years, especially late in the season, you can mark this down as a W. So that's basically what this game gonna come down to. Okay. Eli is still very unpredictable. He can still get it done. We had his number in that last game, but he had our number every game before that. It's a tough one to pick, man. I'm going to mark it down as a loss for now, though, because I really don't know how the Giants are looking. I want to be brutally honest about this. I just got to mark that down as a loss for right now because I don't know how the Giants are looking this year. And if they play up to the way they look on paper, because you can't forget they got Victor Cruz back too, so that gives Odell Beckham some fucking help. They got that rookie, I forgot that other rookie receiver. They could be kind of hard to beat this year, man. The Giants might be back this year, dog. So that's a tough one. And usually when the Giants make their little playoff runs, they always play good late in the season because they be fighting for one of them wild card spots or a division win. That's if I was to pick that game as win, that'd be me being a Lions homer, and that wouldn't be me being truth to y'all. So I'm marking it down as a loss right now. So that means we're I have was at 8-5, so we're about 8-6. We're still in the playoff hunt. We're still in the division chase. I don't believe anybody be. There's potential that someone could have 9 wins by this point in our division, but I'm not sure yet. Packers might have 9 by this point. Vikings might have 9. If the Vikings are terrible, it'll just be the Packers that have 9. I don't know. It's tough, but they ain't got Dallas. Now, this game, same thing. It's actually the same thing, but I'm more confident about the Lions winning this one. First of all, Matthew Stafford always looks pretty good in Dallas. He be killing the Cowboys. And I believe the playoff game was a fuck boy game. Like, that was not a real game. I believe the Lions have had, whenever the next time they play the Cowboys, I believe they had that shit marked hard as hell on their calendar. I believe they have. And I know Matthew Stafford wants to go down there and win that game, man. I know he does. I believe they'll win that game. I believe they'll win that fucking game. I'm not really scared of Dallas. I'm not liking what I'm hearing out of Dallas. All these fucking injuries they got. Ezekiel Elliott getting fucking hurt. That means he got a chance to become a liability. The only difference for Dallas is Tony Romo. If Tony Romo is having a hell of a season, by that point, it could be different. But I'm going to mark that down as a win. They got that marked down as a loss, but they hesitated on it. I believe it. Or did they? I can't remember. I can't go back right now. Let me see. I don't think I could go back right now and check it. I think they marked that down as a win. Did they? Because dude said they'll win either the Texas game or the Cowboys game. I don't got it up in front of me right now, so I apologize. Yeah, on when y'all watch the video, y'all can actually see a thumbnail that I screenshotted of the whole wins and losses that they had. So while I'm recording this, I don't have it in front of me right now, so I don't know what they had marked down for that game. The only thing I know is that they had a 5-11 record. Now, by this point, we won our 9th game, so we're about 9-6. Now it's the Packers game. Could be for the division, could be for a spot in the playoffs. Usually those Packer games are for the fucking division. I believe this could be the same. I believe 10-6 will win this division this year. I believe 10-6 will. And I got us winning that game. I got us actually sweeping the fucking Packers this year. I got us actually sweeping the boys this year. I think after what happened I think we got a lot of revenge games on our schedule this year, if you haven't noticed. The Colts game, from when Andrew Luck beat us in his rookie season on the last play. The Tennessee Titans have always beaten us. I think since they moved to Tennessee, the Lions haven't beaten the Titans. Let's just talk about the Packers. Always want to beat the Bears. That's not really a revenge game this year, though, because we've been dominating their ass. But we still got something to prove. We got nothing to prove against the Eagles. We got the Rams. That's a revenge game from last year. Redskins have a history of beating our ass, especially in the playoffs. The 91 playoffs in particular. Well, I marked that down as a revenge game. We've actually beaten the Redskins, I think, 2 times in the last 3 games, I believe. It's not really a revenge game. Texas not a revenge game. Vikings is a revenge game. Jaguars not. Vikings. Saints not a revenge game. We got something to prove. Giants is a revenge game because they did knock us out in 2013. Even though we got our revenge technically the following season on that Monday night opener, if you remember, in 2014. That's why we had such a good start. Because look at that season, how our first half played out. We gained confidence that year, dude. That's why I said the Lions had to have a really good first 7 games. Obviously, this Cowboys game and the Green Bay game. A lot of revenge games for the Lions. A lot of past history. I believe most of the history that I just went over is from when Stafford was here. So Stafford needs to be the one to be motivated. Go to Tate. I know he's motivated. Guys are motivated. This is a season for the Lions. This is a chip on their shoulder season, man. That should be the title of the season. A chip on their shoulder. Because that's exactly what these Lions are all about. You see another diss from the NFL Network right there. They believe we're going 5-11. Someone showing this fucking video. Because they think you're going to go 5-11. That I believe, I didn't get a chance to see the Bears one. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears finished at a better record than us. I wouldn't be surprised if they had the Bears finish it better than us. I know this for sure because I saw what the Packers and Vikings. I don't remember the exact records, but I do know they had very good records for the Packers and Vikings. So I believe they have us at last place, man. I believe they have us in last place. There's not too many people that believe in the media that we're going to do that well this year. So it's time for us to prove something. All right? I want to hear y'all thoughts. And let's see how it goes. I thought it was interesting how they had it marked out. I believe it just looked like they didn't have a lot of confidence in us in the second half of the season. It didn't. They didn't look like they had a lot of confidence in us, man. Like they had a lot of doubt. It did a lot of it based off of history. So let's see if we can prove them wrong. Like he said, like Keith said, got to prove you wrong. So let's go. All right, y'all. Thanks for Pride Riders. Shout out to Dante Chase and East One LB hooking up in that one of the videos. That was good to see. The fam is strong, man. The fam is strong in the Detroit versus Everybody Coalition, man. Let's go. Open the ceremonies of the Olympics tonight. Can't wait. And the Lions' first preseason game next Friday against the Steelers. 7 o'clock, boy. Don't forget it. All right, y'all. Peace.